Hey there, my name is Alex, I am the Silver Mont, and welcome to my least viewed video ever, because there is probably no video, and no one's gonna want to watch this or listen to this. I'm gonna talk about Dragon's Dogma 2 in this video, and I'm not gonna be alone, because I got my friend here, my friend Doug.
Hi, I am
And
here.
Doug's here, I'm here, we've both put in, how many hours have you put into Dragon's Dogma 2, do you know?
I think I just hit around like 90 hours.
Oh, I'm at
Maybe
99
slightly
hours.
slightly less, maybe? I'm not sure.
Let's have a look. I'm at 99, you're at 93.
Okay, slightly over.
So we're basically about the same, and we've both just beat the game. I mean, you beat it a little bit before me, mostly because you did not like the what happens at the end. And this video, by the
A
way,
mixture of things happened at the end that I just wanted it to end.
yeah, and we're there's going to be like full spoilers and everything in this video, so if you haven't beaten the game or if you care about spoilers or anything like that, go away. You're not
Yeah.
wanted here. But well, Dragon's Dogma 2, it was a 12-year wait. I mean, what I know your history, but what is your history with Dragon's Dogma, Doug?
Um, well, I remember playing it on PlayStation the first time when it first came out. And my tiny child brain never beat it there. I came close, but I just never did it. Because it was, and I've told you this a few times, that halfway point where it's that mission to wait to see what the verdict is on someone's like jail sentence or sentencing to death.
Oh yeah.
And I just got annoyed because I didn't pay attention. And I was just like, this is stupid, I'm done. And then I was like, oh man, like years later, pick it back up on Steam, and I'm like, oh man, this is cool. I remember this, and finally played all the way through it.
So that was, let me think.
And
I think it came out like May 2012 on 360 and PS3.
yes.
And then it was like 2017 on Steam, I think. So, okay, so you got about halfway through on PS3 and then properly into it on PC.
Yeah. And then replayed it again not too long ago.
Oh yeah, you like lost your save file or something, right?
Yeah. Had to do the whole thing over again.
But
But it was worth it.
yeah, and now we both have like level 200 pawns in Dragon's Dogma 1. They're ready to go, ready to demolish and talk about trees that are big. I mean, for me, I played the demo on 360 and I was like, man, this is awesome. And then game came out on 360. I played through it like 2 or 3 times and it became one of my favorite games. And then played it again on Steam. And something I think we can both agree on, Dragon's Dogma 1, really cool game, kind of flawed.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. It was, I mean, flawed in a few ways. The game wasn't even finished, technically.
Yeah.
It came out half-baked, but it was still really good.
It had a lot of potential, which I think is why for so many years, and I mean, back in 2017 or something, I made Dogma Chat 1, where I was talking about what we'd want in a sequel, basically. And well, now, after 12 years, we got a sequel, and it's kind of disappointing.
It's a letdown, man.
And yeah, no, part of that is, how do you live up to the expectations after 12 years? The expectations are unreal at that point. which is part of it, but also there's just some really baffling decisions, and in a lot of ways this is a remake of Dragon's Dogma 1, literally remaking the good things and the bad things about it.
Yeah.
And it's still a lot of missed potential. So, I mean, we got a list here of topics and things, and we're gonna go through them. And I guess before we do that real quick, and I don't know if I'm putting this out before or after my review of Dragon's Dogma 2, but my thoughts for the game, I like Dragon's Dogma 2 a lot, but again, most of the issues from the first game are still here, and that's disappointing after 12 years, because I was hoping this time they would do everything that they wanted to do the first time, but they kind of haven't. And in some ways there's less than the first game too. What do you think?
I mean, I'm pretty much with you on that. It's you have, I mean, we'll get into it, but you have like less enemies. Not by a whole lot, but it's still like the enemy variety is just weird. And you have like less weapons and less special weapons too. I know that sounds weird, and people are probably like, "What do you mean by that?" But when we get there, I'll talk about it.
Well, let's start with the vocations, shall we?
Okay.
Mostly because that's what I have at the top of my list of notes here. So, Dragon's Dogma 1, we had Fighter, Strider, Mage, Warrior, Sorcerer, Ranger, Magic Archer, Mystic Knight, and Assassin. 9 vocations. This time we have Fighter, Mage, Archer, Thief, Warrior, Sorcerer, Mystic Spearman, Magic Archer, Trickster, and Warfarer. So, I think prior to launch, a lot of people, myself included, were thinking there's more vocations that they're just not showing. Because, I mean, if you're unaware, Dragon's Dogma has like a color-coded class system. Vocations are what they call classes in that game. So you have Fighter is red, Mage is blue. Then in the first game you had Mystic Knight, which was like half red, half blue, indicating that it's a hybrid of those two. And then you had like advanced classes, like the Warrior was an advanced Fighter, Sorcerer was an advanced Mage. But this time, the color coding system makes no sense. Like, you have Trickster, which is half purple and half pink. Why? So, I guess that's the first topic. I mean, did there need to be more vocations than what we've got?
Did there need to be more? The game probably would have benefited from having more. I find it weird that yet again, or you know what? Maybe I'm just confusing this with something else. But you're able to do like 0 weapons. You can go in and just punch and kick things.
Yeah.
Is it crazy for me to think that there should have been like a monk class that they threw in here?
I know a lot of people wanted like an unarmed fighter, and Dragon's Dogma Online has the Alchemist, which is I mean, it's not a monk, but they fight with like their fists and using sort of alchemy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, I'm okay with the number of classes. I would have liked some more, but I don't really mind. I don't feel like there's not enough. But I wish they had gotten rid of the color system, because that just bugs me, seeing why is Trickster like a hybrid of two things that don't exist? Why do we have some like
purple pink?
They're not even hybrids anymore, so why even do it as like a double color scheme? Why,
right?
Like, there's 9 classes and Warfarer. Why not just give them all their own unique colors at that point? Like,
Yeah.
what? Wouldn't that make a lot more sense and be a lot more consistent? Because we have no advanced yellow, no advanced green, no green yellow, no. It's weird to me. And I know I wanted like a spear class, and people will say, well, this is the Mystic Spearman, which isn't really a spear.
It's not the same.
Yeah, I think it's not even called Spearman in Japanese. Like, I know some of the classes have different names. Like, I think the Warfarer is just called the Arisen in Japanese, which makes sense. We got Warfarer.
That sounds better than Warfare, to be honest.
Right? Like, I don't understand why they didn't just call it Arisen. It's not like people would get confused and say, oh, what class is your Arisen? Oh, I'm playing the Arisen. It's like, oh, I don't understand. My brain's too small. It's like, that's like what I imagine the localizers went through. They were like, people are too stupid to understand that, so we need to change it to Warfare. It's like, not really. You could keep it like that. It's not like people get confused in Final Fantasy XIV where they're like, my Warrior of Light is a warrior. It's like, well, yeah. What? No, that's stupid. Like, people aren't that dumb where a class or a vocation called Arisen would confuse them, I think. But,
right.
I mean, number aside, the vocations are definitely more fleshed out, I suppose. They all have their own unique weapons now.
Yeah, I'd say that's the best way to put it.
So, I've played every vocation. Have you played every vocation now?
I have not, and that's because I don't know what it is. I don't do sorcerer or mage. I refuse to do it. It's kind of the same thing like in Dark Souls. To me, it's easy mode, but in this game every class is easy mode, so it doesn't really count.
I guess I haven't actually played mage. I played sorcerer.
I guess I would say
mage.
Mage and sorcerer to me would be the most boring, and I know other people would absolutely love these classes because, I mean, it's casting giant spells.
Sorcerer, at least.
I find it boring because I'm standing there charging, and now you could also argue, well, you're doing that with warrior.
Right.
But I get to stand on the thing's head and bonk it.
It's viscerally different, because with warrior, although technically, yes, both of them you are standing still, charging attack, and then bonking something, warrior, you are actually connecting with the monster. Sorcerer, you are just making a big visual effect. So in a sense, yes, they are the same, but I understand why they feel very different to play.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you've played everything else apart from Mage and Sorcerer then?
Yes, probably the ones that I've played the least, because I was just playing before we started doing this, would be Trickster and Mystic Spearhand. Okay. Those would be the least played ones. And I'm still getting used to Trickster, just being able to... I finally got the one ability to buff everybody in the party.
Oh, okay. I mean, let's start with Trickster then, seeing as that's also like the new class and the most unique vocation of them all, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So Trickster's thing is you don't really fight directly. It's more about controlling enemy aggro using your like fart man you make.
Yeah.
And also then like buffing the pawns. Which I think it's kind of interesting playstyle. Like, it's very different, which I'm fine for things being different. Like, they don't have to all be appealing and the same, because I mean, in the first game, yeah, you've got like three classes who all use daggers and stuff, so I'm fine with them giving something different. And I imagine there'll be some people out there who really like Trickster, because maybe I'm not very good at action games, and Trickster allows you to, I mean, the game's pretty easy anyway, but maybe that's just us talking, because, we play a lot of action games.
Right.
But it's... I don't know, I like Trickster in a sense, but I don't feel like I would play it again now that I've maxed it out, you know?
Yeah, that's understandable. Like with the little bit I've played, um, it does take a second for you to get the one skill that buffs your pawns in the party.
Yeah.
So that kind of like brings it down at first.
That
But then
skill,
once you get that, it just your pawns delete things.
I feel like that skill should be
The
hmm,
first?
yeah, because at the same time, maybe they want you to try and focus more on like getting to grips with the smoke and everything, and like how to control enemy aggro and stuff before they introduce the buffing. Which
Yeah.
I maybe that's the mindset, but no, that skill's like a no-brainer. Like the the earliest time I don't think I killed the Drake as it flew off, but the best I did against a Drake in the game early on was using Trickster, where I just like had it attacking my smoke thing all the time whilst I buffed the pawns and they were clobbering it.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that funny. But no, Trickster, it's a cool class. It's not one that I'll probably play all that much, but I like the idea of it, and it can do some pretty fun uh, things too. Like you can, make a platform and make an enemy jump off a ledge and all that, but very situational.
It's kind of close to like one of the classes I would have kind of liked. Granted, it would still be kind of hard to implement into this game, but I kind of wanted a Beastmaster type thing
Hmm,
where you get to control some of the enemies that are around and sick them after things.
that would have been
So then you
cool.
kind of have like a little army that just gets like one slapped from like a Cyclops or something, but and then you still get your pawns that can like climb up on them.
That'd be fun if you could like use compulsion on like goblins and stuff and make them attack things, which I guess you kind of can do that with Trickster using that ability where you make your fart man like jump on an enemy and then the other enemies start beating that enemy to death.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, yeah, no, that is pretty fun. Like you put it on like I don't know, a dragon, then you watch a bunch of Saurians start like attacking the dragon, and the dragon's like, stop it, you tiny men. Well, then we have the other new vocation, the Mystic Spearhand. What do you think about that one?
It's an interesting one. I haven't played this one enough to know like the best skills or the best way to get damage, but there is one ability that it gets that shines above everything else that it has. And it's that shield.
Yeah,
It's that tiny little shield that you get that just anything that's thrown at you, miss me with that.
and it goes on like the whole party too, which is insane.
Yeah.
Like it's
Ogre wants to sit on you, or Cyclops wants to sit on you. Nah.
it's such a good skill, yeah. Have you got the Team Rocket blasting off skill?
Is that you're talking about the force one that you throw them with, or was there another one that? Oh wait, no, there was one that just straight up says, like you fling them super far and
Yeah.
you can't get any items after you do that.
It's like also one of Auron's overdrives in Final Fantasy X. Literally the same thing. He just like baseball bats the enemies like out of the game.
Okay.
It's so funny. Like, but here's the thing: if you do that and like you hit them into something, you still don't get the EXP. But it's really funny because like you can do it like in a cave and just like send them like pinballing around the cave, or like smack them into a bridge that's like a mile away. It's Mystic Spear has so many like fun abilities. I think it's more fun than good. Like it's not bad, but it doesn't really do anything better than other vocations do, if that makes sense.
Right. It just has special things it and only it can do.
Yeah, like it's such a Darth Maul class. Like, I mean, obviously it's a like double-ended polearm weapon. Poleend. But it also, like, I mean, the ability where, like, you sort of pick things up and throw them, that's straight up something Darth Maul does as well. It's almost the exact, I was going to say animation. It's not really an animation when it's like a real person doing it, but the animation is the same as what Darth Maul does. Like, at the start of the fight,
Where he
does
throws that thing into the door to open it.
Yeah, he picks something
exactly
up,
what
throws it's so funny that they just like they were like, director, we need a new vocation. And then he just like shows them Star Wars. He's like, that.
Just like Darth Maul.
Right? I think even the sort of impale, like the critical attack, I'm pretty sure that's the move Darth Maul does to kill Qui-Gon Jinn. You know, like he does that like reverse impale through the chest and then pulls it out again.
Oh yeah, because he bumps him on the face with his handle and then stabs him. Yeah,
it's like that's like the thing they do for their critical attack. It's so funny. But no, I like Spearhand a lot, and because it's fun and it has tools that work with like the new sandboxy kind of world. But I still want an actual spear. I want like a class that uses a spear and is kind of like an aerial fighter, like a dragoon from Final Fantasy. Yeah. The nearest thing I can think of is kind of like the insect glaive in Monster Hunter World, but I hate how most of those look. There's also Warfarer, which is technically new, but also it's just make your own class.
Yeah, it's combine all the classes to one.
Have you done anything with that yet?
No, because I was still practicing with Trickster.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Like, I started using a little bit of Warfarer. Like, I'm using a Magic Archer bow, Thief daggers, and a Spearhand duo spear thing with like one skill from each, and then the ability to swap between them. It's cool. It gives people a lot of freedom to sort of customize their experience. Like, I don't know if I would want to use that all the time, though. I think I prefer the kind of more specialized vocations.
Yeah.
Having all of the kit available to me, but it's definitely fun and powerful. Having, you can put on Skull Splitter, Ricochet Hunter, and another skill and have, like, all the most powerful skills at the same time, pretty much. Speaking of which, Thief. Thief is the new Strider. It's the most overpowered class.
That class is both best as your main character and, in my opinion, best as pawn.
Yeah, no, I agree. It has insane damage with Skull Splitter, just like the first game. It has good utility. You can use the what is the one with the rope abilities, or like ensnare or something?
Mike, I'm drawing a blank on that one now.
But I mean, it's basically Scorpion's get over here attack.
Yeah.
Which is so good because anything that ragdolls enemies in Dragon's Dogma 2 is super useful, because most of the time when they're ragdolled, you can then do like a critical on them.
Oh yeah, it is ensnare, and then it just goes into implicate is what the upgrade is.
Right, that's the advanced version. And then you can also steal from enemies, which, like, I mean, it's automatic stealing. I mean, there's a skill to steal, but you can also just like slap enemies and steal from them, which is crazy. Yeah. And I didn't even really talk about the most overpowered ability, the dodge everything for free forever, basically.
Yeah.
Man.
What's that one called? Formless Feint, right?
I think it's Formless Feint. And then, like, sometimes if you have like a pawn mage using Celestial, whatever it's called, the thing that gives you infinite stamina. What?
Oh gosh.
Because the stamina drain is so low on that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, It's crazy. You would think something that makes you automatically dodge any attack would drain your stamina insanely quickly, but it's like, nah. It's like so little that it basically doesn't even matter. And that's without even having any stamina augmentations. It's nuts. Yeah, no, it's the best vocation, I feel like, for the Arisen and for a pawn.
I don't know if I would make it the best one for Arisen. It's up there. It's absolutely up there.
Yeah.
And maybe I just contradicted myself earlier by saying something. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I do believe that the Thief one is the best pawn one.
Yeah,
it is a really good Arisen, like your main character one, but it's by far the best pawn one.
I don't know if anyone's made like DPS testing, because I mean that doesn't really matter in a game like this. Plus, with how the combat works, it's not really about DPS most of the time, I would say.
Right.
But they do a lot of damage, and well, if Thief isn't the best for the Arisen, then it's probably the Magic Arch.
Absolutely. That one. Once you get it, it's just, oh, there's a cave. Let me just shoot Ricochet in there and kill everything inside.
Oh, it's insane. Like yesterday, I went into a cave. I took 5 steps in, I did Ricochet Hunter, and then I saw like a health bar, like go pew!
Oh yeah,
I went a bit further in, I was like, oh, I guess there was a chimera in this cave. It's dead now. It's like that, oh, what is it? I think it's like, I don't know if it's an edit from Silent Hill 2 or if it's actually in the game, but it's something, it might be Silent Hill 1, but something like, there's like a doghouse and you can read it, it says like, there's a doghouse here, but no dog. It's like, oh, there's a chimera cave here. No chimera. And that's just Ricochet Hunter. Like, as well as Ricochet Hunter, they have, what is it, Martyr's Bolt? I don't know. The one where you kill yourself to kill everything else.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Just drain all your health and, oh man, that's...
Yeah, drain all your health to where you have like, because it's not, it doesn't leave you with a pixel, it leaves you with like a quarter, basically, right?
I think you can basically choose when you stop draining it.
Okay.
And I haven't really tested it, but I assume the more health you drain, the more damage it does.
Yeah.
Which would make sense.
It's just, oh, there's a dragon. Oh, there's no more, it's no longer a dragon there.
Yeah,
it's
like,
gone.
Is there a monster outside? Use that one. Is there a monster inside? Use Ricochet Hunter, which doesn't drain your health, but basically does as much damage. And then, you know, the actual strongest ability in the game, just throwing a block of ice at people.
Shooting a block of ice. That's like one of the most comedic things that these classes get, is that.
Right? It's like
you would think that you would just be shooting ice arrows, which is one of the first things it gets, right? It's the Frost Hunter Bolt.
Yeah, like the sort of, you shoot them and they're like home in and stuff. They're very like Armored Core kind of like homing laser things.
Yeah, and then you're just like, but what if I shot a solid block of ice?
Yeah, it's like,
what if I took the whole freezer with me and just threw it at a man?
It's like, imagine a conversation between like a sorcerer and a magic archer. The sorcerer's like, yeah, so I just like learned how to bring down like meteors from the heavens. You know, I can make a hurricane, like a giant tornado thing. What can you do? And the magic archer's like, I throw blocks of ice at things. And it does like as much damage. And it's not just damage, like the knockdown is insane on that.
Oh yeah. How is it that knockdown damage is on par with greatsword knockdown damage? It's crazy.
It's insane. Like,
and it's
the warrior
actually
doesn't even
like,
need a weapon. He should just like go around throwing ice at people. It's nuts. And that's not even talking about the other skills that the magic archer gets, like there's one that I didn't even use. It's like you make like the lightning stakes or something in the ground.
Oh yeah, for like a bunch of enemies.
Yeah.
Well, bolt chain, I'm pretty sure is what that one's called.
Which I looked at and I was like, oh, that looks cool. But I'm gonna keep using Ricochet Hunter instead. But yeah, no, Magic Archer's insane this time.
And like not only that, it gets so much utility.
Yeah.
You get
healing,
you
reviving
get a barrier
and stuff. Oh, I forgot about the barrier they get, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you get the ability to heal and then revive your pawns at a distance.
Yeah, there was a video, someone like wanted to get somewhere, they threw their pawn down there, killed the pawn with that, revived them with an arrow, then jumped down and the pawn caught them. It's like, you know, it's how to get down a cliff the quick way, using big brain plan. Oh, and then they have like the control the arrow in midair thing. Wasn't that like a ranger ability in the first game?
Yes, that was.
Yeah, like,
now
it's insane that they
remember.
get that. You'd think the archer would get that one. Because, man, magic archers is nuts.
Is that the one that we want to talk about next, is Archer?
Yeah, like...
Because I'll say this.
Even magic archers, like, normal attacks are good.
Archer got the shaft.
Yeah.
Archer's probably the worst class. That doesn't mean it's bad.
No, it's not bad.
It's just the worst class. It has probably more skills than most classes, but they're kind of useless if you don't have the arrows that go with them.
Yeah, it's very
that
sort of
weighs you down.
Based now.
Yeah. And not only that, they got shafted in element.
Yeah.
There is no elemental bow. No regular elemental bow.
Maybe that's because they have like the elemental arrows, but you can't rapid fire those arrows, can you?
No. And not only that, you say that, but Magic Archer, where you would think that all of the bows just do regular damage, there is one ice bow.
Oh really? There's a Magic Archer ice bow.
There is a Magic Archer ice bow.
That's funny. I didn't even realize. I thought they were all just
Archer,
like magic.
Yeah, Archer gets 0 elemental bows.
Maybe they were mad because, you know, I mean, Dragon's Dogma 1, Archer's kind of the most OP thing because you just like, well, I mean, you don't even need the Conqueror's Periaps, whatever, but nibble some of those, equip the blast arrows, and then just do like threefold flurry or whatever, and just go brrrr, and just absolutely delete anything in the game.
Right.
But now, instead of equipping arrows, like, you set a special arrow as a skill, which, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like having to have skills and then also equipping the arrows as a skill.
Yeah.
I feel like it should have been maybe like the R1 button is to, like, you hold that down and then you can, like, load up a special shot of all the ones you're carrying instead of having it equip it as a skill. Because all I ended up doing with Archer, I took like 3 skills and then tarring arrows, and I would just tar an enemy and then like have someone else hit it with fire and then just watch it melt.
Yeah.
But
and then obviously when something gets knocked down, you just, where people were saying Heavenly Shot's useless, no, it's good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You knock down an enemy, you immediately use Heavenly Shot, it's gone.
Yeah, just like go to the head, Heavenly Shot the head, bam, deleted. Like, it's not bad. It's not a bad class. There's no bad classes, but
correct.
Archers.
I mean, this is just our opinions, anyways. Like,
yeah,
I personally feel like the Ranger got shafted the most in this game.
Yeah, I think Archers got kind of downgraded the most. Maybe with Sorcerer too, but with Sorcerer it's because they lost a lot of spells. And well, I guess let's talk about Sorcerer next, but you don't really play it, have you?
No, I played it in the first game just to try it out, and I know it's more or less the same.
Yeah, it's I guess the main new thing now is you can hold R1 whilst you're making a spell or channeling a spell to sort of do it quicker, but yeah, it's not really my kind of thing. I don't mind it, but Sorcerer lost quite a lot of cool spells, most of
Yeah,
which I can't remember the names for, or I can't pronounce the names, like Exequiu, the spell where you just kill things. My favorite spell, Giselle or whatever, where you shot like the horizontal eyes. It's also crazy to me that they never got like a giant lightning spell. Like, you can call down bolts of lightning, but I wanted one where it's just like a huge lightning storm or
like
something.
one nuke basically.
Yeah, but they still get the meteors, which are always fun. I mean, it's cool to see them happening, but I don't really want to be the one doing them.
Right. And
And
that's the thing. Like if I want something to do a lot of damage and I want like a mage, like or I want someone that's doing magic, I'll probably grab a sorcerer
yeah,
because it is fun seeing their skills like just go off and knock over an enemy or just delete enemies that are there.
use like a maelstrom and just see like 5 goblins just like flying around in the air from it.
But I just can't be bothered to sit there and do it myself.
Yeah, and I feel like the armor and weapons for sorcerers aren't as good this time either. But I mean, then there's Mage, which I also haven't played because Mage is just sorcerer with less exciting spells and more focus on like utility, like there's like a shield spell, a stamina recovery spell,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And I would probably say mage in a sense would be the second best pawn class. If you're wanting your pawn to get summoned, that is.
Yeah, it's like
Because mage, like I almost always have a mage in my
yeah,
party.
I generally bring one. Like, you don't really need them now because there's like so much healing in Dragon's Dogma
Yeah.
2. But I like just bringing a dedicated sort of healer along, I guess, because the game's really easy. Like, you don't really need 3 damage dealing pawns.
Right.
But let's see. Well, what does that leave? Warrior, fighter, and is that all of them?
I'm pretty sure it's just warrior and fighter left.
Yeah, well, I mean, warrior, obviously, I mean, Dragon's Dogma 1, my Arisen was a warrior, my pawn was a warrior, and I was like, why is this game so hard?
That is a nightmare. Because I also made the same mistake. Now my pawn was Strider? I think it'd be Strider, right?
Was this on your first PC save or your second one?
This was on I'm pretty sure both of them had Strider. I could be wrong. But I know my last one was Strider, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Strider pawns are always really nice in the first game.
But yeah, no, both times I played, I went as a warrior.
Yeah.
Great swords are cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was me in the first game. I mostly played warrior. I swapped at some point to Mystic Knight. Like, I played a lot of Mystic Knight, Ranger, and Warrior. But Ranger usually was like, I was fighting Awakened Daimon, and I just couldn't beat him with Warrior. So, because, you know, I can't smack him because he's in the air the whole time.
Yeah,
So
and
I
then
just
he
swapped
keeps
to Ranger.
casting
Stupid spells.
fucking electricity and zaps you when you get
Yup.
up there finally.
It's like, Warrior was the cursed one in Dragon's Dogma 1. Like, it wasn't like it was so bad you couldn't beat the game. I mean, you can even beat Awakened Daimon with Warrior. It's just
Yes.
annoying. And like, you could do insane damage, like Arc of Obliteration, and it was fun and cool, but it was
best move.
kind of bad. because you had like half the skills of everyone else, and most of the skills weren't that good because people would just do the jump attack. That was how you played warrior, pretty much. Jump attack, jump attack.
It was the quickest move, and it did enough damage to kill things.
It was like Monster Hunter World when they just the way to play Greatsword was just like jump off a ledge over and over again.
Oh, I remember that.
So I think maybe Warrior got the biggest glow up in Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yes.
Like, the biggest improvement. Like, it's not the best class. It's good now, and they've improved it a lot. Like, you have, like, the shoulder tackle, or the shoulder bash, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
You've played it a lot more than I have, though. Like, I played it just to max out the skills, but other than that, I went off. But what do you think of it now?
I mean, it's just so satisfying. And, I mean, it got a glow up also because you're able to stand on top of monsters.
Yes.
And just beat their brains in. No longer clinging to things. You just stand on top of them. And you just destroy them.
Yeah.
With the Arc of Might.
It's like one of the best changes they've put in to the game. Being able to stand on enemies now. Like... And especially benefits Warrior, of course.
Yes.
Like, I'm sure if there isn't already, I'm sure there's a video of someone who's, like, stood on top of a monster and done, like, Arc of whatever on it, like, the ultimate skill, like, on its head, with, like, good timing. And you have, like, the rapid swing where you, like, go attack, attack, attack with the right timing and it gets faster and faster.
Oh, the Windstorm Slash. I love it, but it's also, at the same time... I mean, it does more damage than your regular attack, but your regular attack is basically that. Because at some point you can just get, what was it, the core skill?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember. Well, basically, what it does is you're able to just chain your attacks by, like, after you hit something, you can press it again and then immediately go into another hit. Where Windstorm Slash, it starts off very slow, but it is very fun when you, like, knock down a monster. If you didn't really get there in time to start Arc of Might before it stands up, that's normally what I would do, is the Windstorm Slash, because then it does more damage than your regular attack, and then it, like, how fast you're able to get it going is hilarious.
I find it a bit disappointing that they have that as a skill and not just as the normal attack, because it's kind of the same thing. Like, you attack, you time another one, and you get, like, better.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that should have been a skill, that should have just been the core skill. That would have freed up, like, It's like we were saying the other day, for me, I think Warrior, like, some of the skills for it is too similar to each other. Like, you have the uppercut attack, which I love, and then you have the attack where you don't really uppercut, you sort of just thrust out.
You thrust Mountain Breaker, or when it Null Breaker is the first one. But yeah, that's the one you thrust in first, and then it kind of comes down a little bit. And if you don't hit that first one, it's kind of useless.
Yeah, they're just, to my mind, they're very kind of similar. Like, they have their own uses. Like, obviously one is good for hitting, like, harpies and stuff. The other one's good for, like, knocking out, like, a minotaur and stuff. But to me, that could have been one ability that could have done both things in one.
Yeah.
And,
kind of like how Catapult launch, that should have just been like a core skill button
absolutely
combination instead of an actual skill slot.
Yeah, it's like they made the improvement where some of the skills are now moved into core skills, like Antler Toss and all that, but Springboard and Launchboard, or whatever they're called for Warrior and Fighter, those absolutely should be core skills, where for Warrior you just hold uh triangle or Y or whatever button. And when you hold it, you go into the stance to launch people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they should have done, but they made it a skill. But well, that makes a good segue into fighter, the class I started with, and the class that my fighter is. And I mean, what do you think about fighter if you've played it so far?
You know what? That's funny. That's actually another class I haven't played yet. I just realized that. And
Fighter?
it's not because I don't like fighter. Like fighter would be a fun class because I like sword and shield stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, you got me that footage of Kruber for my sword and shield video, which I meant to try and put that out before Dragon's Dogma 2. Like, I finished that video before Dragon's Dogma 2 came out, but then, like, my schedule got all changed up by other things. So now that video is going to come out, I'm going to be talking about, oh, Dragon's Dogma 2 is going to be out soon. Because I was saying in that, like, Fighter is one of my favourite sword and shield incarnations in video games, along with Sword and Shield in Monster Hunter, because it's just so fun there. Because so many games, they give you a Sword and Shield. Dark Souls is a great example of this. Sword and Shield in Dark Souls, no, it's just a sword. The shield,
It's literally
you just hold it to
you
block.
either do one or the other. It's never put together.
Yeah, like, I think maybe Dark Souls 3 had like a paired weapon where it was like a sword and shield, and like maybe there was something there, but for the most part, shields in Dark Souls are just all you do is hold it up, and that's it. But
Yeah.
like Monster Hunter, you can bash them with the shield and everything, and Dragon's Dogma is the same kind of way, and it was amazing in the first game, and Fighter, I don't know if it's better, because in the first game you got like 3 skills for your sword, 3 skills for your shield. Now, now granted, there was only really one shield skill that was any good, but but now you have to combine them, and I need to take a skill slot specifically just for launch board, which is situational, but it's so nice when there's something up there and I'm like, pawn, go, and he launches me up there and I can just grab it.
Yeah.
It's
That's also why I feel like it should be a core skill, so that when you have a pawn go into someone else's world, same with greatsword. Like, you don't have to waste a skill on that to help
right.
people. It should just be there for them.
Yeah, because they shouldn't have to sort of sacrifice a slot just for that. Because it's not like fighter and warrior, especially warrior pawns, are not very popular. Because most people, well, they're going to want a mage to heal them, or they're going to want a thief because thieves are overpowered.
Right.
So it's like,
I don't know. I've definitely seen a lot of warrior pawns.
yeah, I have seen quite a lot walking around, but how many actually get summoned, I wonder?
I think I've only summoned like a couple of them, and that's only because our pawns are crippled in the brain sometimes.
Yeah, they can be. But Fighter's really fun in Dragon's Dogma 2. I love it. Like, Impale, the whole, like, a lot of classes have it, was like, when you knock down a monster, you can run up to it and press triangle, and you'll do, like, a super attack or a critical attack.
Mm-hmm.
Fighters, like, ones, they're so cool, the animations for it, and it's just, a lot of people might look at Fighter and think, oh, it's, this is like a kind of tank or whatever, it's not going to do much damage, but it can do really good damage, and I've really been enjoying, the Leo, my fighter pawn, just like what he can do, like bashing enemies with his shield to ragdoll them, that like combo, Riotous Fury, Springboard. I mean, I don't need the shield summons, because I mean, maybe it's better in Dragon's Dogma 2, but in the first game, that was such a waste of a skill, and I was so sick of seeing like every fighter pawn using it. It's like, you don't need that.
Right.
Just let them be what they want to be, which is a murder hobo with a shield. But that's the vocations. So I guess we'll wrap that topic up with, what vocations would you want if they like made a DLC?
I think I said it earlier. It mainly just like just punch. I want to be able to slap a man with my hand and then kick him in the face with my foot. See, what they could do is one of the things we didn't mention for Archer is it's probably got some of the flashiest moves.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is you can literally run up to a man and just kick flip off of him
Yeah,
and then
that is
shoot him in the
really
face.
fun.
Like that's fun. You probably won't use it a lot because you don't get to put a skill into it. You just jump off of them and shoot real quick.
Yeah.
But that's fun.
It's also fun, like, when an enemy's down, if you're not right next to them, but you're close to them and you do triangle, like, your character runs up and just, like, soccer kicks them in the head.
Yes.
It's like, damn, alright, Archer here fighting dirty, but I'm down for it.
But yeah, no, I would like a monk. Kick, punch, it's all in the mind.
Yeah. No, I mean, monk seems like a no-brainer. Me, I just want spear. I wouldn't mind seeing the other classes from Dragon's Dogma Online.
You want to steal that dude from town that walks around with that spear. Just take his.
There's so many NPCs walking around with spears, and it's like, alright, how are you gonna have spears in the game but not let me use a spear? But no, they definitely need that. I also wouldn't mind like a shield sage, where it's kind of like you just have a giant shield as your weapon, and it's like magic and melee hybrid kind of thing. But well, let's see. Next up, enemy variety. That's one that I'm seeing a lot of people complaining about online, because there's something like base Dragon's Dogma 1 had like 53 enemies or 54 enemies, and Dragon's Dogma 2's like 54 or 53. So they're similar.
They're close, but what they've done is they've added a few new enemies, but they got rid of old ones that were in vanilla Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah, there's no Hydra, there's no Gazer, no Beholder.
No cockatrice.
No. Oh yeah, the cockatrice. It bears the head of a cock. I'll hamper it best I can. Yeah, I completely forgot about the cockatrice. And that's the thing, because Dragon's Dogma 2 in a lot of ways is like a remake of Dragon's Dogma 1. So yeah, sure, they had to remake all these things for the new engine and everything. And they put some new monsters in, but let's see. New monsters. Medusa, Dullahan, Talos, Unicorn Malzeno guy, and Wormy guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
There's you know what? Did you say Sphinx?
Oh, Sphinx.
Okay.
But
because I mean it's not really an enemy, but you can fight it. So I'm gonna count it as an enemy because it actually gets a health bar and everything.
Yeah. Okay. So
and you can kill it.
And out of those enemies, the Sphinx, very easy to miss if you don't explore a lot, and then probably a lot of players did what I did and just used the Maker's Finger or whatever it's called now to just insta-kill it. Because the game kind of hints that that's how you should do it. So I didn't even see what its moveset was like. I would have liked to, but I didn't want to risk it being like, oh, this is a riddle and I'm going to warp away, or, you know?
I mean, you did, to complete that quest line completely, you did the right thing.
Yeah.
Because that's as far as I know, that is the only true way to kill that thing is with that arrow.
And there's only one.
Because I tried. There's two.
Oh, I mean,
you get the
one Sphinx.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Like, we should have had, like, a variant Sphinx as well.
Yeah, there should have just been, like, a straight-up enemy version of it.
Yeah. And then the Medusa was used quite a lot in advertising material, not as much as the Sphinx, and there's one Medusa fight. It does respawn, but there's one.
It's one.
And it's in a pretty out-of-the-way corner of the map.
Yeah.
Where you never have to go. Dullahan, I saw one maybe 60 hours into the game and it like left. And I didn't actually kill one until 90 hours into the game. The unicorn dragon and the worm dragon, I don't know what they're actually called. They're missable unless you do the true ending, and you only fight one or two of them, depending on choices you made up to that point.
Yeah.
Then Gigantus or Telos, one-time fight, and barely a fight, because all you really do is climb on it and jab its toothpicks or whatever.
Or if you're just a ranger, you just shoot at it.
Just do what I did. Just use an unmaking arrow on it and then reload and fight it again and realize you really didn't need to use the unmaking arrow on it. Like, and then that's it, right? That's all the new enemies. They're all missable or one-time only things, or combination of missable one-time only.
Yeah.
And I mean, other than that, there's new varieties of enemies. Like, again, it's like a bunch of Saurians, and this time they are actually a bit different, whereas in the first game, the Saurians were this like different. It's like, oh, here's a black Saurian, here's a white Saurian.
Yeah, this one's a different color. I think the only like true different Saurians that you saw was in the DLC, the fire ones.
Yeah. Their master, Sulfur Saurians. But yeah, no, there's more. Like, they fleshed out the enemy types, but it's so weird to me that for a game so about fighting these monsters, all the new monsters are basically hard to find and hard to fight, or you can only fight them once per playthrough. Like,
yeah, I mean, to put it in perspective, like the first 10 hours I played, your inventory, certain items get maxed out at 99.
Yeah.
I started selling materials from enemies 10 hours in.
Goblins and Saurians, probably.
Yes.
Like beast skin, goblin horns.
Yep, you find and fight so many of them.
Yeah. We needed... Oh, and harpies. So many harpies.
Oh, yeah, harpies.
I think we needed, like, 2 extra enemy types with, like, varieties of them. And more monsters. And also, like, if you're gonna put in... You do all these moveset and everything for a Sphinx, and then you don't see it. Like, what? Like, imagine if Monster Hunter put in this... Oh, we designed a whole new skeleton and a whole new moveset for this monster, but you can only fight it once and only through quite an obscure bunch of things. Very, very weird, and I hope they give us a DLC or an update where we can see more of these things. Bitter Black Isle 2.0. Next on the list is number of skills, which I think is just... First game gave us, like, a skill for left hand and right hand, now we just get 4 skills and that's it. Which...
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think?
It kind of... It did to all the classes... Let's see if I can word this properly. It did to all the classes what Warrior was in the first game.
Yeah.
Where
so it wasn't a
Warrior,
big change
you straight up have... Yeah, no, I barely noticed any difference, honestly. But I get why it's like that, but at the same time, I still feel like you could have absolutely had an alternate set of skills.
I guess it's because everyone has one weapon now.
Yeah.
Which is why they've done that. But I think it's okay for most people, apart from Mage and Sorcerer. I think Mage and Sorcerer should have more skills, because, again, quick cast with Sorcerer, just put that on triangle. if you're casting a spell and you press triangle, you will quick charge it. If you're not casting a spell, you press triangle, you will galvanize to regenerate stamina. Then have R1 be selecting your next set of spells. Same for mage. But otherwise, I think it's not a big deal. Maybe again for archer, archer shouldn't have to choose between skills and special arrows. I just think that's kind of weird, because I feel like you should be able to have both.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I still wouldn't mind an extra set of skills, because there's just so many of them with certain classes.
Yeah.
That it just, I feel like the only one that you wouldn't really need to worry about is the what is that class? The gas class.
Trickster.
Trickster, yes. I
Mr.
don't know why I can
Farting
never
all
remember
night.
that. Because they have the least amount of skills.
Yeah.
And some of them I'm probably never going to use.
Mm-hmm. I feel it quite keenly on the Mystic Spearman and the Magic Archer, but that's only because they have so many cool skills and I want to use all of them.
Right.
I want to bring the Team Rocket's Blasting Off Again skill on Spearman, but it's so situational and it's I'd only really use it just for fun.
I mean, it's same with some of the greatsword, or the greatsword skills, where there's one where you just straight up jump down and stab into them.
Oh, I love that one. I was using that one a lot, but
that one's very fun when an enemy gets downed. But I would love to just. There are times where enemies are just down below, and I want to just jump off the cliff and do that.
They could have made that a core skill.
Yeah.
It could have been a core skill where you jump and you hold triangle or something, and it does that.
Yeah.
Some skills should have. A couple more should have been made into core skills. They did a few, but not enough. Alright, next up. Now this is the topic which is probably going to make us look like idiots. Missing plot? Question mark? Because...
Well, and people are probably gonna be like, what do you mean? There was a beginning, middle, and end. And I want to correct people on that. There was a beginning and a middle end.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, once you hit a certain point in the game, you're at the end. There is no middle, basically.
It's in Dragon's Dogma 1, you go to the... I can't remember the name of the castle, but it's that castle, up in the corner of the map, It's where, you meet Grigori and he squashes the little idiot.
Oh, yeah.
It's oh, powerful and merciful Grigori, salvation. And then Grigori's the jumpings of a little Yoda man are stupid. I don't want to listen to that anymore. It's if the game ended there. So what? And
right.
We spend the majority of the game's story trying to overthrow the queen and her false arisen, and then he's oh, they're doing something in Batal, you should go over there, and then we just kind of forget about everything we've done up to that point, and our characters, someone's hey, you should do this, and give that to Lord Faces, and our character's I guess I'll do that.
That right there was the one part that confused me the most, because the whole time the game is these bad guy, other than the dragon, bad guy.
Yeah.
And then it's just but you want to give the bad guy the thing that will help you, and it's what?
All the motivations become utterly nonsensical from the main character's perspective. It's at the start of the game, it makes sense. Oh, you're the rightful Arisen, you should be the king, you're imprisoned, you need to now, get your allies and like overthrow the false king. All that stuff is fine and makes sense. But then once you reach Batal, it's like, wait, so the Empress of Batal is fine with pawns for the most part, but she's also fine with Faces imprisoning pawns, or does she not know about that? Like,
even though he's working literally right under,
literally in the same building, and everyone is talking about it, and it's literally in the palace, and it's called like the Forbidden Magic Research Center. And then
Yeah,
our
see, that
characters like just going along with whatever like our character's like a pawn. Someone's like, go over there, and our character's like, okay, I do
Yeah.
this. It's like we go and find, what's his name, Rocher, the probably cat seneschal guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey homie, you can have this God's Plane. Our character's like, oh cool, I'm gonna give this to this random dude. And that dude's like, thanks, get me some dragon blood. Cool, you powered it up, now go give it to Faces. It's like, you mean the guy who's like been imprisoning pawns this whole time?
Yeah.
And it doesn't like us, and we shouldn't like him, but we're gonna go and help him?
Yeah.
And then Talos pops up for some reason, and our character's like, oh, there's a big statue over there, I guess I'll go and fight it.
Yeah, it like at this point the guy who is, I mean, at the end, like you understand what the dude's doing, but the whole time they build this guy up to be kind of like a bad guy for no real reason.
The way he's presented makes him seem like he's a bad guy, yeah. And it's just very weirdly presented, and none of it is really coherent. And then the dragon shows up, and he's like, oh hi Mark, oh hi Arisen, you're here too? Dragon, you're here too? Oh dragon. And then the dragon's like, I found a weapon, it's really powerful, especially against me. You should stab it in my ass. And then the Arisen's like, okay. Well, actually, no, first you have to fight him normally. And even the fight against him, like, fighting Grigori in the first game, first you run away from him, then you do, like, the kind of the temple run.
Chase scene.
Yeah. You shoot him with the ballista, then you jump on him, then you fly, and then you have, like, your actual fight. This time, he's just like... It's like what Goku does to Vegeta. He's like, let's find somewhere empty to fight. And then you just like fly over there, and he info dumps you whilst you're flying over there.
I absolutely hate that so much.
It didn't come across as very elegant.
Not only is it like just obnoxious, it's one of those what are those? I mean, at this point, it's a flying simulator that you don't even... Yeah, it's a walk and talk.
But just a fly and talk.
Yeah, and it's not even new information. None of it's new. It's all stuff we hear throughout the whole game.
Plus, that's the thing, like, in Dragon's Dogma 1, the plot is, go fight the dragon, and then after you kill the dragon, it's like, oh, the big twist is that that's not the end. But it was all leading up to this. The dragon wanted you to kill him so that you can go and fight the Seneschal.
Mm-hmm.
If you beat the Seneschal, you're the Seneschal. If you lose to the Seneschal, you're the dragon.
Correct.
Like, Dragon's Dogma 1 is very easy to understand for me. Like, the world needs a great will to sort of power it, essentially. Like, I think the Seneschal says at one point in Dragon's Dogma 1, he says, the forge of my heart grows cold, and the world shivers for it. Like, that tells you basically everything you need to know. So, it's all about finding a human with enough willpower to keep the world going. That's fine, I understand that. Dragon's Dogma 2, you kill the dragon, and then, yay, now you're the king? But what happened to the seneschal? Or then you go back and you kill yourself and the dragon, you fall into the brine, and then for some reason you come back to life even though you killed yourself, and the not seneschal, the brine seneschal, is like, you idiot. Look at this. Now all the water's in the air, and everyone's gonna get vored by a red cloud. Like, maybe I'm just stupid, but I have literally no idea what was going on there. Like, did the brine... Was... The cat guy was a seneschal, presumably, and he wanted to stop the cycle? Question mark? So he stuck his throne on the Everfall, and then the brine was mad at him, so it drowned him? Question mark? And tried to kill him, but couldn't kill him. And then for some reason, his little castle, which is most likely Gran Soren, pops up out of the water for some reason. Because we talked to an old man, and he heard that, and he was like, hey, I'm over here. And then the brine can sort of make its own dragons.
That's like, I the funny thing is like in the first game they don't explain anything about the brine other than the fact that there's something there that prevents you from getting into the water.
Yeah, it's just to stop you. It's their excuse for why you can't swim, which is fine. Like, I was fine with that. It was kind of mysterious. It was like, oh, there's this weird monster thing. But now the brine is like God?
Yeah, I was always interested in that. And then, well, you know what? I got my answer from the second game, I guess, and it's just... it's nonsense.
Yeah. So now I'm going to kind of like jump to another part of the note, because here's what I would have done if I had been making the game. You have, the seneschal, the dragon, the cycle, all that is the same. But then you also have, I would say that the brine is sort of part of the cycle, but it needs the cycle to keep going because somehow that gives the brine its energy, its life source. So if the cycle stops, then the brine also is in a bad spot. So the brine wants things to keep going. So when you kill yourself and the dragon using the Godsbane, you're like screwing stuff up now. And at that point, the brine is like, okay, bleh. Or maybe the brine had like its own cycle going, which they kind of seem to hint at that a little bit, that like we're in like a fake cycle that the brine is making, like adjacent to the real cycle, because the seneschal stopped what he was meant to be doing.
Right.
But I think the brine should have like drained from the water and then become like a brine moon, like up in the sky. And then where the water was, you would have the map from the first game. So then you have like a, like in Pokemon when you go back to the first game's area in the second one or whatever. And then this brine moon would be the end game dungeon, which you can also kind of play through as much as you want before fighting the final boss. Because that kind of leads into the next point. The end game. Where? Because Dragon's Dogma 1, we have the... I keep wanting to call it the Everjail, but that's Elden Ring. The Everfall, where you can go through the Everfall as much as you like, and once you've gotten 20 Wake Stones, you can open the path to the Seneschal. And also in the Everfall, you can fight the Dragon, which is like the super boss, or whatever. And that's how you get, like, until the expansion, that's how you got the best items. But what's the end game in Dragon's Dogma 2, Doug?
red, nasty sky and no water.
Yeah. With
that is the end game.
all the water goes away, you can explore where the water was, and there's a couple new items. There's like a few new enemies that you can fight in this area. But you have a time limit. You have 2 time limits. You have like a hard time limit, which you can stop. Then you have a soft time limit, where you can only rest like 12 times or something. And then you have to go. Like, what? What? Like, you had a pretty good end game. Why didn't you just do something like that again? Like, there's no Dragon? What?
Yeah, and I mean, heck, they even could have done something with the Everfall there. Could have just opened it back up where that cat seneschal. If like, is he even the seneschal? Is he?
I don't know. I feel like he's meant to be the seneschal because he's a weird ghost arisen who pops the Godsbane out of his chest and gives it to you, which is what the seneschal did in the first game. But
I guess
don't
I'm
know.
just the most confused I am about this is just like nothing is still technically explained about the brine. Like, how did it get this power?
Yeah.
There's no from what I know and from like the tiny little books or like little pages you find, none of them explain how the brine gets its power.
See, there's a very simple concept in storytelling, which is motivation. What does character want? Look at Dragon's Dogma 1. What does Arisen want? Want heart back. What does Dragon want? Want Arisen to be cool dude. What does Seneschal want? See Dragon. Because otherwise, world fucked. What did the Brine want? What did the Pathfinder want? The Pathfinder wanted you to become the king because that's what you were meant to do.
Right.
But what? But why? That how does that help? Like, sure, you become the king, but the seneschal still isn't there. Maybe is there. I don't know. Motivations are just so unclear, which is the big kind of issue with the story. And the dragon shows up once. I mean, technically, yes, there's the flashback at the beginning, but after that, he only shows up at the very end.
Yeah. Like, I'm not wanting the game to be a copy and paste of the first one, but your attention of the dragon, which is technically supposed to be the more important thing, is taken away by that guy that wants the stick to control the dragon. Because like you still hear talk of the dragon, but he doesn't do anything extra to be an intimidating force.
Yeah.
You know, he's just mentioned by everyone or by a few people, and then just at the end shows up and is just like, hey, let's go to McDonald's and get some food, and then like flies you over there, and then you ordered the wrong thing and now he's mad at you and you have to fight. Like that's what it feels like.
Yeah, and going back to the very initial point, missing plot, ? That should have been, like, you get to Moonglint Tower, that should be the point where it's like the castle in the first game, where Grigori shows up, squashes the leader of Salvation, and then he talks to you a bit. After that, you should wrap up the Batal storyline, go back to the first area, like, wrap up the storyline with the fake king and the queen and all that stuff, become the king, or maybe even just like the sort of provisional king.
Is the Moonglint Tower, that's the ending, right?
Yeah, that's where you go up the tower and guy has stick and he's like, I can control the dragon, and then the dragon's like,
Okay.
no, you can't. I squash you.
Because I feel like, I mean, granted, I messed up one of my quest lines, which was the spear. The what is his name?
Sigurd?
Yes, that guy. Because he goes to like another area.
There's Dragon Roost Tower, I think it's called.
I feel like if you there should have just been another like pus dragon there anyways. But I feel like that's when Grigori should have showed up and just kind of been like, these like fake imitations are nothing compared to me, and then just like slaps it away or something.
That's
like I feel like that would have been cooler than
that's a side quest, but he could have showed up in that and like said something about the lesser dragons, because there's literally zero explanation as to what the lesser dragons like are. I think in the first game the implication is that the drakes, wyverns, and whatever the third one was, they were they arisen that failed to beat the dragon?
I thought they were. I mean, this could have been like a fan theory that I read, but I thought it was the pawns maybe of the arisen that failed. But it could also be the arisens that have failed, and then they were just a mage or a fighter or something.
Right, because there was 3 of them, and they like kind of aligned with the 3 starting classes. Maybe that was just like a theory, but either way, it felt like they had a good explanation. But like now we have like the drakes, but then there's a lesser dragon. It's like, but what is a lesser dragon? Why is it all full of Resident Evil pus weak points? Like,
and then the only explanation is the brine, and it's like, okay, but why?
Yeah, and like, what does the dragon, like, what does he think about the brine? Does he know about the brine? Is he being controlled by the brine? Like, what's going on? But yeah, no, it needed like a bunch more story to sort of not have the pacing be stupid, and also to explain some things more.
Yeah.
Oh well. I mean, it's not like the first game had an amazing story. Like, a lot of people complained about it, but I felt like it was pretty cohesive. Like, it wasn't perfect, but it had very memorable dialogue. Like, I remember almost all of Grigori's dialogue from the first game.
Oh, yeah.
This time, yeah, not so much.
I don't.
Same with the Seneschal. Like, the Seneschal had some really cool lines, like that one where he's like, oh, the forge in my heart grows cold, the world shivers for it. But the, like, Pathfinder? I don't remember. It was like...
I mean, the ancient one from Marvel.
Yeah. Voice acted by Tilda Swinton. But, well, moving on, we have graphics. Because we have had very similar but different experiences with this game. Because I have a 4070 Ti, I think, and you have what, like a 1060?
I have a 1060.
Yeah, so...
I don't feel like I get to really say too much about this, because I'll say this: the game itself, it looks nice. Those moments where you're like up high and can see a lot of the world, and your pawns are like, oh, maybe we should just chill here for a moment and enjoy the view. Like I did enjoy the view. I enjoyed the view at like 5 frames, but I did enjoy it.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, that's understandable. Your machine is like either at minimum specs or is below them, but you were able to play it.
Yes. And I will say this, whatever anyone else was experiencing with the game, I had to spend like the first 10 to 20 minutes messing around with graphic settings just to get it to run like 20 frames. And then like the first update they did with the game reset all my settings, so I had to do that again. So whatever you high-end PC players were dealing with,
excuse me,
it ain't nothing.
Yeah.
It ain't nothing like what I had to deal with.
See, me on the other hand, I'm like, I just dropped to 55 FPS. This is unplayable. But no, it's got some really wonky performance, and most of that is all CPU stuff. Like, there's not really much to talk about. It's just bad. They need to improve it. But aside from the bad optimization, assuming you're able to like have the game looking how it should, it does look nice. It has very
insane?
Nice environments.
The meat, the cooking at camp.
Yeah.
Is it because that's just the best looking thing for me in the game? Like, did they actually videotape someone outside cooking? Yes. It looks really good.
That's real footage.
Okay, I'm not crazy then.
Because they said they could make it in the game, but they found out it would be cheaper or the same just to buy the meat themselves and cook it, and that way they also get to eat it.
That's hilarious, because that looked amazing, and I was just like, wow, why does the food look so good?
Right.
Like, I thought Monster Hunter World food looked good. Like, this is amazing to look at, but now that I know that it's real food,
I mean, now that
makes
they've
so
done
much more
that,
sense.
Like Monster Hunter Wilds is gonna like use the same cameras, and they're gonna like actually film it. They're gonna actually train cats to cook food and film it. But I've seen some people saying like, oh, Elden Ring's got like such a cooler looking world, because Elden Ring, you like the area's all color coded. You have like green Limgrave, blue Liurnia, gold Altus, red Caelid, blah blah blah. And Elden Ring is a different sort of fantasy. It's like high fantasy.
Yeah.
Dragon's Dogma is more like, I don't know if I call it low fantasy, but it's like it's almost like a Greek fantasy, Because you have like chimeras, griffins, medusas.
Yeah. No, it's definitely more Greek.
It's more, and it's meant to be more grounded. So as a result of that, yes, the world is in a sense more boring, because it's like our world. It's hills, valleys, rivers, mountains. It's not like Elden Ring where you have like giant impossible cities with like 1 million flying buttresses and things. Like Anor Londo in Dark Souls is complete nonsense. Like, it looks amazing, but in reality it's like, why is this building like infinitely tall? Like, if you look down, it just stretches down into an abyss that never ends. But
right.
That's the thing, that Dark Souls is dreamlike in that sense. It doesn't matter, it doesn't need to be realistic. Dragon's Dogma is trying for a different style, and I'm fine with that. I think the game looks cool. I think glowing weapons look probably the best I've seen in any game ever in Dragon's Dogma 2. Like, when you have your sword and it's either like an elemental sword or your mage gives you like an element, they look so good. The fire and the ice, like, ice slightly looks a bit weird because it's kind of just like blue fire in a sense. It doesn't really give off the impression of cold that well, because that's kind of harder to do, but it still looks cool. But like, the lightning one looks so cool. Like, those lightning daggers, they just look amazing. Spells and the animations, like, and we've not really talked about the good stuff about the game, but like, The combat is just amazing. It's so
Oh,
good.
the combat feels so great.
It's
Like I haven't had a class that, like, even Trickster, like, you don't even fight with that class really. Like, you can walk up to things and bonk them and get gold from them, but you're mainly just sitting there spinning that incense thing around and just distracting enemies. Like, it's a creative way to fight.
yeah. And the particle effects on like the Trickster's smoke and everything, the animation blending, and the fact that it's like the combat is like physically based, so you can push, you can pull, you can knock enemies into the environment. It's like Elden Ring. That game's environments, they look pretty, but they might as well not exist. Like, you might as well just be fighting in a black void because the environments don't really matter. The only time they ever matter in Elden Ring is if you're like trying to push an enemy off like a insta kill cliff, or trying to hide behind something so that an attack doesn't hit you. But the environment in Elden Ring doesn't really matter. And I think that's also kind of what you can boil down the comparison between the two games. Elden Ring is very simple, but very well executed. Dragon's Dogma has a lot of complicated systems going on. It's very complicated, and probably overly ambitious.
Yes.
Like, if you compare Dark Souls 1 with Dragon's Dogma 1, like, Dragon's Dogma 1 is so much more advanced. Like, real-time lighting, you know, day and night systems, all these things. Dark Souls 1 is just you go through areas and you hit things, and that's kind of it. All pre-baked lighting, like, no lip syncing, no, like, NPCs are static, like... But like, that's fine. Elden Ring's a simple game, but it plays well, and it's got a lot of content, which is why people are happy with it. People don't always need complicated. Dragon's Dogma 2 is very complicated, and a lot of stuff just kind of doesn't work properly. But the combat, I have like no real complaints about the combat. It's great.
No, that's probably one of the main reasons I'm still playing, is that it's still fun.
There's nothing like Dragon's Dogma.
Right.
If I want something like Elden Ring, I can play any other Souls game. I can play any other Souls clone. They probably won't be as good, but they're similar. If I want something like Dragon's Dogma, I have Dragon's Dogma 2, and that's it. And I had to wait 12 years for that. Like,
yeah,
it's very unique. And some people still like, oh, if you like Dragon's Dogma, play Monster Hunter. And to some extent, I get that, because there are aspects of them that are similar. And it's like, if you enjoy Dragon's Dogma, you'll probably enjoy Monster Hunter, but they're not the same game.
No, they're not.
They're just similar in that they both don't have lock-on, and they have vaguely similar sort of combat.
Right.
In how you position yourself, and there's weight, and I'm gonna cough. Oh, goodness me. But, moving on, actually, next point, this is a good segue. Where's multiplayer, Doug?
It ain't there.
And it's quite a controversial subject. A lot of people say, I don't want multiplayer in Dragon's Dogma. I don't want it. It's a single-player game, and I like it like that.
I can understand both sides, because, I mean, you're always, whenever multiplayer is brought up, and the fact that you can interact with quite a few things in this game, you could have someone just join your game and just kill you, instead of, like, help you. They could just pick you up and throw you off a cliff.
Yeah.
Like, I totally get why some people wouldn't want it, but at that point, why are you playing with random people?
Yeah.
Like, us playing, I guarantee one of the only times we would ever throw each other is like, hey, throw me up to that cliff. And even then, one of us would probably be playing one of the classes to launch the other person up. so we would never need to throw each other.
The
But
game,
I think
there's
go
so many
ahead.
systems in the game that would be really fun in co-op, like launch board, picking each other up and throwing each other. And my stance is that we should have had like an optional multiplayer end game where you can go through a dungeon with another player. But you can also do it solo. Like, if you want to do it solo, you're not going to miss out. Like, you don't have to do it co-op. Just
Right.
It's optional. That's all I wanted, because I love Dragon's Dogma and I want to do the combat with like another player.
I definitely do feel like it should be an end game thing. Like it should have been something like you unlock at the end. Like you play through the whole game solo and you do all the stuff, and then like end game you unlock like a co-op thing, and then
like an
your
end
new
game dungeon that you can repeat.
Yeah, and then in New Game Plus, feel like you should be able to join in like co-op.
That would be ideal, just because I would love to play through the whole game co-op, because maybe I'm just crazy, but I feel like if you give me a giant world full of dungeons and caves to explore, I want to explore that with a friend. Maybe that's just me though. It's like Elden Ring. I was like, oh, it's like open world Dark Souls. That's gonna be so fun to co-op with my friends. Then it came out, and we were like, oh, we have to unsummon like every 2 seconds to go into a cave or something.
Yeah, that was.
Thank God for that seamless co-op mod.
Oh man, you're gonna make people mad with that, saying that.
Oh, I know. People were there like, ooh, I want to invade people. You're playing on easy mode. It's like, let's see. Hardest time I ever had in Elden Ring was when we played seamless co-op. Like when we were fighting Radahn in seamless co-op. How many times did that take us?
Oh god, I don't remember.
You know how many times Radahn took me in my first playthrough, which I had before the game came out?
First try? What was it? Yeah.
Yeah, this was like pre-patched, pre-release Elden Ring. No guides, no anything. Like, I beat Melania like that as well. Like, before they, like, nerfed her a little bit. Like, seamless co-op isn't easy mode. To some extent, yes, it is easier, but, I don't know, that's a whole nother issue, and...
Yeah.
Invaders, like PvP people, like, they need to chill out, go play, like, an actual PvP game, not a garbage PvP game like Elden Ring. That's the thing, they don't want to. They don't want a fair battle. They just want to go and gank someone with their, like, Rivers of Blood, or whatever the meta is, like, 2 years after release. And then when someone actually fights back, they're like, no, this isn't fun anymore. It's, ugh. I'm so glad Dragon's Dogma doesn't have, like, PvP invasions.
Oh god, that would be awful. I'm not gonna lie.
It would. Everyone would just play, like, I don't know, Thief, and have, like, formless... It would just be 2 thieves with formless feint not hitting each other for, like, 30 minutes.
Trying to ensnare.
Yeah, and then one of them would get lucky and do it and be like, I fucking destroyed you, noob. I'm so good at PvP. God. That just play like Mystic Spearhand, and as soon as an invader comes in, just like use your Team Rocket attack on them and just like launch them into the sky. It just like kicks them from your game. That'd be good.
But yeah, no, I would like to get back on topic a little bit. I would like there to be a multiplayer, not like you have a room open for random people to join, but just like friend.
Yeah.
Like one other person.
Yeah, 2 Arisen, 2 main pawns. I feel like would be fine. Next point. Clothing. Not really much to talk about, just they removed clothing.
Yeah,
like,
there's
don't
a
have
lot
layers.
Less. Yeah. It's just because there's just some armor that would probably benefit from clothes. I know some people still wouldn't use clothes, or they would probably just find like
the least amount of clothes. Like, I
least
mean, look at
amount,
like
yeah.
look at any female porn in the Rift. Basically, it's like, oh gee, it's like what's that like
Any
SpongeBob meme where the guy he wants like the burger or whatever, and the guy's like, oh, dare like inventive today or something, you know?
yeah.
It's like that. It's like I'm gonna make a female porn. I'm gonna give them like this one, what is it, like the corset or whatever. It's like, oh, wow, how daring of you.
Yeah, like all the pawns that use like mage or any magic, they all look the same.
Yeah, I've seen so many free run porns. Surprisingly, not seen that many like disgusting Shrek ogres.
Right?
Seen
I
a
mean,
couple.
there was that funny one that you saw me grab. What was that,
Oh,
Chad?
well, you had like the Giga Chad one.
Yeah,
Yeah, like sometimes
like
you'll see a funny one like that.
that was pretty funny. But
Yeah,
other than that, I haven't seen any like massively disgusting things.
yeah. I guess most people just want their like pretty waifu porn that they're gonna try and romance. God, that would be weird for us though. But I guess we ain't furries. People probably think we're furries. Like, oh, your porn
Your
party is
pawns.
like two like furry guys. What are you, furries? It's like
It's like, no, they just added those guys into the game. I want to.
it's one of those things that makes me hate the internet. It's like you can't like Sonic anymore because of all the weird Sonic furries. You can't like Star Fox anymore. Like Star Fox was like one of my favorite
You
things as a
can
kid.
like them still.
Can you though? Because
Yes.
like you go on the internet and you're like, I want to talk about Star Fox, and then some like furry comes up and he's like, I want to sniff Crystal's butt.
I want to talk about Star Fox.
And they want to talk about it too, but what they want to talk about is not what you want to talk about. It's like, yeah, it's like kind of same thing with Final Fantasy XIV. They did like the lion race people. No one plays them apart from kind of weird perverts who like have them like walk around naked, and like they mod their like male characters to have like not boobs, but like giant muscle man boobs, and it's like, why are you doing this? Like, I'm glad I don't see it because I don't see your mods, but Final Fantasy XIV players, they're something else. It's like that's what, like 90% of people who play that game, they just like mod their character to look like some sort of abomination, hang out in Limsa Laminsa, and they're like, my character's so sexy. I'd sex my character. I don't like that. Man,
You're gonna have that in any game, though.
Yeah,
like
no, that's absolutely true. And it's in Dragon's Dogma. Like, you go into the Rift, or the Rim, as apparently they were calling it in Japanese. You go into the Rim, and you see a lot of weird things going on there. It's like, man, I just want like a cool adventure party. I don't need weird lollies or like giant naked Amazonians. Like, but that's apparently that's what like most people want. It's like, it's that. Do they just not care about like immersion and stuff? I don't know. Like, I like to be kind of immersed into a video game, you know? Now, granted, someone's going to say, "Well, you named your porn after your cat." And it's like, yeah, that's kind of true, but you know, it could also be for like Leonidas. There could be any sort of Leo thing there,
right?
And mostly that's because I'm bad at thinking up names. Names are hard.
They are.
Speaking of pawns, though, the last point on the list, pawns, their voices, their personalities, just pawns in general.
What about them?
Why does your pawn... Why he rude?
Well, that's because the voices are also tied to what is their specific thing? It's
well, in this game they called it personality, which is basically inclinations from the first game tied to... Because in the first game, like, inclination was its own thing, like, it was their combat behavior.
Yeah.
But then you could also set, like, their kind of personality. Like, I tried to make my pawn, like, calm and, like, reassuring. He was meant to be, like, a mentor fighter figure who would, like, help you and train you and reassure you and stuff. But now it's all rolled into one. Like, your pawn is straightforward, which is like a combat enthusiast, but it's also kind of an asshole.
Yeah, he's just constantly sass.
Yeah, and he's always sitting down, and then the other pawns are like, why are you sitting down? The Arisen didn't give you leave to do that. And your pawn's like, I know what I'm doing.
But I'm a little tired.
Yeah. And then in Japanese, he's like really polite sounding and like cheerful. It's like, oh, that almost makes me wonder if there was like a weird localization, because like my pawn, I feel like in the English and the Japanese, it gives me the same vibe, you know?
Yeah.
But your pawn seems like completely different.
A 180 happens between those two languages.
Is very weird, but in general, I'm not a huge fan. Like, on the one hand, I'm kind of glad the inclinations, they were a cool system, but I feel like 2 players used them properly, and it was probably us 2. Because everyone else had, like, Guardian Nexus or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, on the one hand, I'm glad that that's not as big of a factor now, and you can actually use pawn commands now.
Yeah.
Without screwing up, and their inclinations don't drift anymore. Because, like, mine, I wanted him utilitarian mitigator. He would always shift and drift towards mitigator scather from just playing the game.
That was so obnoxious to always keep an eye on that.
I had to, like, make him guzzle those inclination potions, like, I don't know, multivitamins or something.
Yeah.
Just to keep him on the right path. So on the one hand, I'm glad they improved it in that sense. On the other hand, I don't know, and I don't like the voices for the male pawns. We have kind of like sad, maybe black man, Kruber, young Victor, and then just happy, kind man, I guess.
Well, it's not even that. It's like a woman's voice pitched lower.
Yeah.
Like that's
none of them.
That's what the male ones are.
Yeah.
And then you switch them over to the Japanese voice, and they just sound so much better.
Yeah, and just to sort of clarify there, we both played the whole game in English, and then like last night or whatever, when I beat it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna this Japanese voice, I'm gonna swap it over and see just what they're like, because I want to like hear the characters and stuff. And yeah, I kind of prefer some of them. Dragon's Dogma 1 had no Japanese dub until maybe the PS4 release, but like when it first came out, it was just English. And I don't know, sometimes I kind of prefer the voices in the first game.
I never had well, the thing is like in the first game, you could choose.
Yeah.
Which
well,
one?
Yeah, and you
can still choose in this one, but like
now
it's
it's the whole thing.
That. Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe part of it's like the voice direction and like just the writing. I don't know, like I do wonder if, because the first game, because there was no Japanese originally for it, I wonder how they like wrote it all. But this time it does. So did they write it in Japanese and then translate it? Is that why some of the plot just seems nonsensical? Is it like Elden Ring? Because some stuff in Elden Ring's like written in Japanese then translated, and some of it just comes across as like, what? It doesn't make sense how they translated it.
Right.
But I don't know, man, like I can't think of a single line I remember from Dragon's Dogma 2. But I can think of so many from Dragon's Dogma 1. Like, Mercedes, when she's fighting, was it Julian? She's like, you will retract those words, sir. And he's like, else suffer what consequence? It's something like that. He's basically saying, "Oh, what, bitch? What are you
Right.
gonna do?" And then he starts like pounding on her shield. And if you like interfere, she gets mad at you.
Oh, she gets so mad.
It's like, don't blame me. You're the garbage one over here.
Stop being trash.
It's like, stop being bad, man. The first game just kind of had more memorable characters. I feel like.
It had more charm.
Yeah, like this time round, I feel like I will remember Wilhelmina because she was like, I have my special cat eye, and that's all I'll remember about her. I'll remember Brant because it's like, did you know, by the way, Brant is voiced by Hugo from Final Fantasy 16, the Titan guy.
Oh no, I had no idea.
I was like looking it up last night. I was thinking, oh, is it like, because I felt like there might be a big crossover with Final Fantasy because they both use like English voice actors. But there was only one Final Fantasy XIV voice actor I could find, and it was Lise or Ida from 14. She was, who was she? I think she was the Cat Empress in Dragon's Dogma 2. Maybe someone else, but either way, I was surprised there was only that. But no, it's, and the dragon is the biggest disappointment. They didn't get the voice actor back for him. Granted, last time in the anime he did sound pretty weird, but his voice was so cool in the first game.
Oh yeah,
and he had such good lines. Like, I'm not gonna do his voice because I can't do that. But like the lines, they were so good. Like, heed the zealot's lesson well. When the weak court death, they find it. It's like, that's such a good line. And what did he have this time? He's like, "Hey, Arisen, I'm here too." Dragon, you're here too? It's like they went back to Resident Evil 1, like the original. Oh, Barry, you were almost an Arisen sandwich. What is it? It's a key. I thought it might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, shoved it up your ass. That's how I felt like when that guy gave me the key, and then later he asked for it back, and I'm like, why can't I keep it? He's like, well, I don't trust you with a prison key even there. But, well, that's Dragon's Dogma 2, which we waited 12 years for.
No. Not yet. No.
Not yet?
You forgot about the Rift Crystals.
Ah, you're right. The currency which we have no use for.
Like one of the most important things, and or at least from the first game. Yeah. Like you needed so much to like unlock new weapons, just gear in general.
Wasn't that mostly just in Bitter Black Isle though?
Yeah, it was.
So in a sense they added that in the expansion, because in the base game I think Rift Crystals was similar to this one, where it was like you just buy, there were like a couple cosmetic items like, I don't know, dye and glasses.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, the expansion exists.
That's more or less where I'm going with it. It's the fact that you had something that you could have improved upon. And not only that, you have like the armor itself. You have armor in this game that on certain pawns or characters it just doesn't look good. Where you could use Rift Crystals. I would like you to be able to use Rift Crystals to like transmog.
Yeah, like glamour, transmog, whatever it, layered armor, whatever you want to call it. Like, why not be able to use Rift Crystals to transform one item visually into another? Because as we know from having the Beastren pawns, hats on them look stupid.
Yes. They look awful. And I would like that to change.
Yeah. Like, if for some reason you happen to summon my pawn, you'll probably be wondering, at least up until very recently, I had on him a very early game armor, not because I didn't find better ones, because I liked how that one looked. And he never has had a helmet. Like, for the first 20 hours, he literally had nothing there. Eventually, I got, like, a circlet, and then a bit later I got those, like, laurel wings. And I'm, like, I have better helmets. I have, like, the best helmet. I'm not putting it on him because it looks stupid. And Rift Crystals, yeah, we could have used them to transmog items.
There's nothing to do with them other than buy glasses and change your pawn's voice.
The appearance book.
Yeah, and appearance.
Yeah.
But otherwise, they're useless.
One other sort of semi-related thing, which I guess we should talk about real quick, the microtransactions, which people are super mad about.
Yeah, I mean, I get why. They're microtransactions.
It's
microtransactions
disappointing
are ass.
to buy a $70 game and then see like a huge list of extra things.
Now,
but you don't need them because they're all in the game.
This is
I'm
one
not
of those
defending it being there, but
no, absolutely not.
You're not missing out on anything.
No,
but no, they shouldn't be there.
Yeah, everything that they have microtransaction wise, you can get in the game. It's not pay to win. It's pointless to buy it.
And it's a really easy game. It's not even like, oh, well, yes, you can technically buy Wake Stones, even though the game hands them out like candy. But it's not a hard game. Like, it's easy. And, yeah, so don't approve of the microtransactions, but it's so easy to ignore them. And there's actual issues with the game that I think are more important to focus on. Because if we focus on the microtransactions, Capcom can go, yay, we removed them! It's like, okay, but you didn't fix the actual issues with the game? Like, that's what I want them to do.
Yeah.
But, well, that is Dragon's Dogma 2, 12 years in the waiting, not the making. I wish if they'd taken 12 years to make it, then it would probably be a little bit better, but I don't know, disappointing. It's not a bad game, though. It's fun. It's got what it does well. It does really well.
Yeah.
It needs a lot of work.
I guess now the question is, out of 10, what would you give this game?
I'm not sure, honestly. Maybe a 7, but see, I mean, because I have played 93 hours.
Hey, look, I'm in the same boat as you, but I don't know, man. Like, I'm still floating around like 5 or 6.
That's very fair, and
that's not bad. Like, that's middle.
5 is average, yeah. But here's the thing: it's like it all evens out because there's a lot of issues as we've been talking about for the last 2 hours, but combat's so good. So it's like you have like the combat. It's like I give that like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. Like the graphics high, like the performance, but then like it's each area of it's very uneven. Whereas like a game like Elden Ring, if I were reviewing each category of it as out of 10, it would look nice and smooth for the most part. Dragon's Dogma is like zigzag up and down. But no, I wouldn't say 5 out of 10 is unfair. For me, I think it's a 7, just because I really like some parts of it, but yeah, other parts they're rough. They're rough. Well, closing thoughts?
Put in more enemies from the old game.
Give us more of the new enemies that we can actually fight.
Give us a new big enemy. You want to know what I want to see? Cerberus. Throw that bad boy in.
They could, if they give us like Bitter Black Isle 2.0, Cerberus could be like what you fight to get in there.
Yeah.
And then, like, after you've been through it and you loop around, you could fight, like, a powered-up, like, Super Cerberus. Gold Cerberus. There's... I don't know, there's a lot of room to build on here, and I hope they do that, because now that they have all, like, the systems in place, don't throw that all away. Please, Capcom. Build on it. Even if it's like you have to do a Cyberpunk, or like a... whatever, like any of these games that have come out busted and then have been gradually improved. Do that. Don't just leave the game like this. Don't just like patch the performance and go, "Eeh." That's all you get. I think it's sold like 2.5 million copies or something so far. So it's selling. Wow. I guess worst case scenario, even if they don't do anything, at least next year we have Monster Hunter Wilds to look forward to. Which is supposedly all open world. Hopefully isn't a letdown.
I mean, hopefully it isn't a barren open world.
Yeah. Oh well. Well, if you have sat there and listened to 2 hours of us basically taking 5 minutes worth of information and rambling about it, thank you for listening. You have my condolences for your wasted hours. Look, this is probably the only thing like a Dragon's Dogma podcast in the whole world, so maybe someone just put it on whilst they were playing the game, and they were like, you know what? I agree with some of what these guys are saying.
Or the opposite. They're
Yeah.
gonna be like, these two have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah. And, maybe someone heard stuff about Elden Ring and they got super mad because apparently there's like this huge divide and war between Dragon's Dogma and Elden Ring. It's like, I like both games. I can criticize both games too. Like, I can play a game that I like a lot and I can criticize it.
Yeah.
But, oh well. Hey, Shadow of the Erdtree coming out a couple months. And it'll probably be pretty good. But that's the thing, Elden Ring is very simple, and that's fine. It's what made the game kind of work. Oh well. I wonder if seamless co-op will take a long time to work for that, because I would like to enjoy Shadow of the Erdtree. I will probably enjoy it more if I don't have to spend 10 minutes every 5 minutes being invaded by someone who I slap once, then he goes, "Eee!" and runs off to hide. He says, I must gather my vitality, because I've been hurt. Yeah. Oh well. That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye-bye.